Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, citizens of YouTube. This is Pastor Dow. I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to have a heart-to-heart personal talk with us to try to stimulate thought. The one thing that I thank y'all for, and there's many things that I do thank him for, but I do thank him for this. I do thank him that I was able to make it through the gauntlet of not having my children used as enticing bait that the government could use to try to force me or coerce me to do something against my will. You're going to start questioning what you call freedom in this world, I promise you. You see, of course, my children now are 25 and 22, so they're adults, they're grown. So now the government can't use where we'll come and take your children or we'll come and use your social security number against you, because remember, as long as you have a social security number, then your children are a ward of the state. Something like that. Some of these things I have to revisit over and over and over again. So therefore, because you have a marriage license and you have entered into a third-party contractual agreement, therefore, the state is in bed with you and your wife whenever y'all copulate and y'all end up conceiving and having children. So therefore, we have an interest, a controlling interest in this investment that you volunteered to opt into by being an American citizen. What you think about that? Huh? I guarantee your pastor out there, who you call a pastor, don't know that. And I guarantee that bootlicker won't tell you the truth about what's really truly going on. You know why? Because they are under the control of the same wicked system as the rest of the world are. But I thank the Father that I do not have to be coerced, have my heart challenged, or being manipulated to actually be pushed into a particular corner to make a painful decision. Because I to tell you right now what my decision would have been. You're not going to stick no snake venom and monkey pulse up in my children's veins. And that's just the way it was. And they didn't, especially when I had knowledge of it. And so I chose to homeschool my children because I think the best education that they could get was the one that myself and my wife could give them. And they did too. I had one that decided to go to college and she was homeschooled. And she got there on the academic scholarship. So don't tell me. Of course, now, that doesn't mean because you homeschool your children that the parents are worth a damn. Because the majority of parents in America ain't worth two dead flies. They'll usually take it as a time of vacation to sit on a sorry rear end and spread it out and do nothing to actually forward and help progress the education of their children. Because, you know, if the parents operate in dismal ignorance and chaotic ignorance, then chances are if they've got that kind of attitude and outlook on life, they're going to pass it on to their children. So if the parents are pathetic, then the children are going to be pathetic. The apple don't fall far from the tree. That's just the way it is. Some people have enough sense when they get sick and tired of being sick and tired to put a defibrillator up on their mind and conscience and say, you know what, I got to make changes, because if I don't, there's a system of corruption out there that's already set up to make the changes for me against my will. So I thank the Father that I don't have to be enticed by these situations. You know, some of you people out there that work in the medical profession and these other places, when they tell you, hey, I just heard this morning. Let me keep this thought going. I just heard this morning that the doctors threatened to lock up a nurse for vaccine, what they call that thing, paraphernalia. No. Anyway, when you're against taking vaccines paranoia. Can you believe that? They're going to lock them up in the psychiatric ward for vaccines paranoia. I had somebody on the other end of the land out on the West Coast who had a child. They had a child in the hospital, and the father was sitting right there pulling watch to make sure that they wasn't going to shoot their child up with snake venom, monkey pulse, and rat poison. And then a few months later, they called the CDC did, you know, Center of Disease Control, called them to ask if they had vaccinated their children. You know, what the hell you got to want to care about if I vaccinate my children or not? I don't want my children vaccinated, so what you got to do with it? Oh, but let's just tell the truth. The reason why that they're big on these vaccines and these vaccinations is because they want to make this society dumb, dormant, docile, and demoralized. Because you cannot control a population that is healthy and free thinkers and think independently other than what the system and the news media is trying to sell you. Do you know that? Most of you don't, because you're too busy going to church on pagan Helio Sun God Sunday. Let's hit them up, give them a crazy praise. Oh, you sun worshipers out there, you can't know the truth anyway. You can't even accept the truth of the Bible in itself. So how you going to accept the truth in that? But anyway, so they want to check you out to see if you giving your children snake venom, monkey pulse, and rat poison. And then they're going to call you paranoid for not trusting in the government, who has a history and a track record. Do y'all remember the Tuskegee experiment? Do y'all remember that? What they did with black folks on that? Do y'all remember that? Nah, we don't want to hear that. Well, do you remember what went on in Nam? No, we don't want to hear that. We don't want to hear that. What makes you think you can trust in this system? You know, it's amazing. Then they pass laws, and they have this government set up to force you to comply. Let me tell you something. You do not have to. I heard somebody say, well, you know, there's a nurse and they work in the hospital and they have to take the vaccination in order to work. No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't have to do anything but live and die. And in between that living and dying, you better be obeying the Most High Yah. But you don't have to do anything. The truth is you want to disobey the Most High. That's the reason why it's not going to be hard. It's not going to be hard for people to receive the mark of the beast because of their excuse making. No, you don't. You just have choices and decisions you have to make. And those choices and decisions may be very painful. And it may alter your lifestyle greatly. It may change everything about you greatly. But nevertheless, you're going to find out what type of integrity of heart and character you have as a man or a woman by the decisions that you make. You're going to find out if you kowtow, you cower down, and you're just going to bow down to this system, or you're going to stand up on your 2 feet rather than serving on your knees. You're going to find that out because it's coming at your door. And you got painful decisions. Every single person in this world that you're going to have to make. And don't, hey, all this belly aching and all this excuse making, them days are over. Over. All you have to do is stop being a nurse. All you have to do is quit that job, because you do have an option. See, the option is you don't want to quit that job because it provides you a nice lifestyle. And so therefore you're going to comply to everything that they say, and then you're going to act like that you don't have any other choices. Oh, you got choices. It's just that you don't want to make the right choice. I don't want to hear that mess and garbage. You're just full of compromise. So it's not going to be hard when this world government implements the mark of the beast. Because remember, the Bible doesn't say he's going to chase you down, run you down, and hold you down and force this mark in your right hand or in your forehead. It didn't say that. Didn't say that. It says, and I want you to listen to me very closely, and he causeth all, not some, but all, you hear that? To receive a mark. The key is cause. In other words, they're going to pass laws, those of you who are lawful, and you are civilly obedient. They're going to make a law to cause all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark. Notice, the understanding here is cause. They're going to cause. You see that? They're going to make it so much to the point that your ability to resist. And if you don't comply and take this, then guess what? You don't get no food stamps. You don't get no Federal Reserve notes. You don't get no EBT cards. You don't get no more handouts. You won't even be able to work on a job. You can't even get a job unless you receive a mark. You can't even buy or sell. You can't even get food unless you receive the mark. See the causes? See the causes. And they already done slowly but surely all but guaranteed that 99.9% of the world will bow down. But I know there's some people over in the third world country who I just saw the news source this morning who the government told them that you have to get off that land. And you must get off that land because we just now passed a law. And the law said, you know what the people told the government? No, we're going to die on this land. We're not going anywhere. And the government told them, you don't get off that land, we're going to charge you $250 a day until you get off. We're going to fine you. And then people say, you ain't got to worry about that. You know why? Because we're going to commit suicide before we get off this land. And we will die on this land. We're either going to live free or we're going to die. But we ain't going nowhere. Or not off this land. And them people don't even have guns. And yet and still, Yet and still, they're stronger than these pathetic so-called Americans who call themselves honorable while they submit to every wicked whim and cry that the government makes that they call intimidation and forced coercion. I think there's a lot of that failure waiting to do of our minds and our personal conscience. Let every man and every woman search your own heart to see if you got it in you to be a man or be a true woman of truth, honor, integrity.